Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 1990 GMC Suburban SLE. Up front is a 5.7 liter V8, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this GMC Suburban for two reasons. First of all, I haven't done a Suburban this old, but second of all, it's a square body. It's got a lot of miles on it, and a lot of patina, I guess we could call it here today. So we're gonna be taking a look at a surviving GMC Suburban SLE 1500 in all of its rusty glory. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that small block Chevy under the hood, known as the Chevy 350. Well, that is a very tried and true, very stout engine from GM. They use this in absolutely everything for decades and decades and decades. This was the LS before the LS was the LS, and so it's very reliable. Parts availability is very easy to come by, even here today in 2025. Easy to find parts, easy to work on, easy to build. They made carbureted ones. This one is port fuel injected. So you had options, and the GMC Suburban had it. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic. Nothing really too crazy there. And then this particular Suburban is rear-wheel drive. However, you could have found them in 4-wheel drive during the era. How does it feel to drive the GMC Suburban? Well, GMC Suburbans drive great. They are very heavy duty. They're built off truck platforms, you know, yada, yada, yada. This particular one does not drive well. There's so much rust that has compromised the chassis that it really feels like a small block Chevy bolted to a Twizzler. I mean, under gas, under brake, it sways, it moves, it shimmies. It is not a very pleasurable driving experience this day and age. You have to do an incredible amount of steering work just to make it go straight. However, the owner says that he still tows with this vehicle, although he probably shouldn't. He does, and he said it drives great. He said he sits on the highway at 90 and it works well, so can't fight that, I guess. Visibility is very good, suspension is rough, but it's supposed to be, and throttle response isn't the best in the world, especially by modern standards, but by the 1990s standards, it's fine enough. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 6 gauges. Off to the left is our battery voltage, oil pressure, coolant temperature, and our warning lights. And then in the center, we get the speedometer and a giant fuel gauge. The steering wheel just says GMC on it, no airbag here for 1990. And off to the left, we do have a gauge dimmer switch as well as our headlight switch. Moving on to the door, we do have a wood accent piece, power locks, power windows, and grab handles. I love the mix of materials found here on the door card. I think it's quite charming and almost nice attention to detail that I wouldn't necessarily see otherwise. Moving into the center, if you can call it that, we do have a climate vent, our climate controls, and the radio. All of this is angled towards the driver. The passenger doesn't get much say in this, and again, that's a holdover from the 70s here in 1990. But off to the right, we do have another climate vent. We do have our AC switch, as well as our ashtray. And then off to the far right, we get nice little interior pieces like more wood, the Suburban badge, another climate vent, and moving on to that door, we have more wood and this pouch. The driver's door also has a storage pouch. I think that's just a nice luxury touch, making this kind of a nice place to be, well, when you're not driving it and wiggling all over the place. We don't get a floor center console, but up on the center console, you do get cup holders. We'll do a big friggin' bottle test, and they are square. Unfortunately, the big friggin' bottle is round, so it doesn't really work. Then we do get a storage area in the center console and the seats. The seats are incredibly comfortable. GM knew what they were doing in the 90s when it came to their seats. So although I have some impeding doom while driving this Suburban, at least I can have that impeding doom in relative comfort, which is nice to see. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go talk about that. All right, so coming into the back seat of the GMC Suburban, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, There's not much actually holding the back seats in. The owner said that there is some wood underneath and that whole back wall with that window is only attached to the ceiling, not to the floor. So I'm not gonna crawl back there just for my own safety, but here is the third row, and to access it, you actually fold the back of the second row down. So I can lift that back up like this, and then this seat comes down, and there you go. You get the second row of the Suburban. Very, very nice. You can carry 8 people in one vehicle, which is absolutely awesome. All right, around the back of the Suburban, again, handle here, and it's not really connected. It's a little wobbly, but there you go. There's even a little reminder, always lift door when closing and slam shut, because as you can see, quite a bit of sheet metal is missing. This is the rear trunk area of the Suburban, something nice. So very, very nice to see that. There's a little handle down here that you click, and then this opens up all the way like that. So you get really, really wide opening area here around the back of the Suburban, which is very nice to see. But again, I don't know if I would trust this particular one to carry any precious cargo. There we go. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I absolutely adore the look of the Suburban. I love the square body, I love the two-tone, and I know this is worse for wear. I know this is not a pristine example of the Suburban, but you still get those lovely square body assets. It's very dignified, it's very official looking, and man, one of these in black in the movie Twister just absolutely captured my heart. And so looking at this today, I definitely feel a little bit of that heartthrob that I did back in theaters when I was a kid. However, with all of this being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving this 1990 GMC Suburban? Well, besides my life kind of being in my hands throughout the entire video, I love this thing. You know, there's just something so honest about this Suburban that I really, really like. Over the summer, I drove a 2025 Yukon Denali. Well, it's technically a Denali Ultimate. It had massage seats, it had giant displays, and it was a very, very nice, over $100,000 SUV. That is the successor to this car that I'm driving today. And that Yukon Denali Ultimate really relied on its tech features in order to wow the buyer. Like I said, the big display, the touch screen, the hands-free Super Cruise cruise control, the massage seats, the nice leather. That Yukon has to rely on cutting-edge technology in order to get buys. It kind of has to fluff itself up. It has to peacock a little bit. This doesn't. This is so straightforward and so unapologetic. It's a big square SUV to maximize the amount of space. There's no crazy features in here that try to draw me in. This was a people mover. This was a workhorse. This was a family chariot. And so, yeah, I guess it has wood grain on it, but honestly, that's left over from the 70s. That wasn't wowing anyone in the 1990s. If anything, it was probably hurting their sales because it felt so old. But it wasn't broke, so don't fix it. It was a good recipe. And so that's what I feel driving this. Yes, the chassis is floppy and wiggly. Yes, this truck probably only has a few more days here on Earth. And yeah, it's not good on gas. The engine is a little underpowered, blah, blah, blah. But it's honest about all of that. It doesn't try to pretend that it is something that it isn't. It's a tow rig with multiple seats. This is a Chevy 1500 with a cap on the back and an extra row. And it doesn't try to hide that from you. It doesn't hide behind big blingy bumpers. It doesn't hide behind beeps and touch screens. It doesn't hide behind gadgets and gizmos, because it doesn't hide at all. And even in its dilapidated state, it's giving you its best. Even in its current state, it's still doing the job that it set out to do 35 years ago. Maybe at a slower pace, maybe not at the rate that it used to, but it's doing it. It's getting out of bed in the morning and it's driving. It's a sunny day here. And this GMC Suburban is putting in the work, just like it has the last 35 years. And I said, sure, maybe it might not be here forever, but it's gonna keep doing that job until it can't, until it won't anymore. And that's the kind of grit that I like to see out of SUVs like this. That's the grit I like to see out of workhorses like this. And so this truck will only quit with a bullet or in the car crusher. And at this day and age, I don't know which one is going to come first. But God bless it. God bless it when SUVs had heart. God bless it when SUVs had dignity. And that's exactly what this does. And that's exactly what this has. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Kyle for letting me borrow his Suburban for today's video. What a monster, defying the odds. Kyle's absolutely wonderful to work with. I also filmed his GMC Safari, so check out that video on the channel as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.